Welcome back to 180 Days of Lang. My name is Heather, and I go through each of my lessons in AP Language and Composition day by day in this series. So if you are a new teacher, you are an experienced Lang teacher who wants to see how another teacher does it, welcome, and let me give you the how and the why of what I do in every lesson. You can go back in the playlist to start earlier on, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you want all the resources that you see, I always put links in the description to where you can find those things for your own classes. What I've been doing this week in my AP Lang class is focusing on the rhetorical appeals. For my students, it's usually a new concept. For yours, it might be review. But we did notes on some flashcards. Then we used those flashcards in a little warm-up where we looked at some slogans and they told me what the dominant appeal was. Then I had them do 5 different stations over the last 2 days where they were practicing with the appeals in different ways. So this is the lesson that bridges the gap between the stations and the quiz. So sometimes if your students are struggling, you might need to make this multiple days and approach it from different angles. And I'm going to give you some resources to do that. But here's the basic part of the lesson. Going through the station, some of the station things, and just kind of sharing and comparing responses. So station 1 that they went through was watching 3 commercials and analyzing the dominant rhetorical appeal in each. So I'm just going to reference the commercial. I probably won't play them again in class, but we'll talk about which were the dominant appeals and why. For the scripts where they were making their own commercial in Station 2 for a ridiculous as seen on TV infomercial style product, if you have time, it's fun to have each group do like a little table read of their script so we can hear it. Otherwise, you can just have someone from each group share out ways that they appealed to the reader for that product, for that. I spend the most time going through the moon disaster speech in Station 3 because that is basically a replica quiz just with a different text. So we talk about it, and if students are not giving whole answers, like not a fuller analysis with evidence where prompted, we address that. And if we have some great responses, I show those under my document camera or type them up on the board as model responses so we can talk about what does a successful answer look like for our quiz that's coming up. So that's great review for that too. If you have some time, if you had students make the posters in Station 4 for AP Lang, you could hang those up and have students look at them or just highlight a few really strong ones. You could have them share out some of the better examples of appeals they found from the magazine scavenger hunt or anything like that. So if you have time left at the end of your class, you could just simply have open study time. Or if you need some more support, if like the whole class is struggling or you've got a few kids that need targeted support, I wanted to let you know I do have some extra resources outside of this unit folder that could be helpful. If you found this video because you have the mega curriculum bundle that I sell on Teachers Pay Teachers, you already have these resources. If you don't, I will link them separately so you can find them. So first of all, if students are struggling with a particular appeal, I suggest that you take a look at it. So let's say they're struggling with appeals to logic. I have these print and digital versions of appeals practice activities that are specific to an appeal. So they highlight it, they explain it, and then they apply it in some way. So that could be something that you do a small group of targeted support with. You send it, you just make copies of it and say, hey, if you want extra practice, here you go. You can work in groups, make it your review activity, your study guide. That would work. If you want to do a whole class review project, you might consider doing this letter to the editor project. You will have to explain what a letter to the editor is because a lot of kids don't know. And that's a really important genre that comes up in AP Lang a lot in the multiple choice and things. Explain what that is. So in this project, I have a model letter to the editor, and then there's a prompt for them to look for the different appeals. And then I have them write a letter to the editor of their own local newspaper about an issue important in their community. And again, this is just, they're not actually sending it. I guess you could have them send it in if you wanted to, or if they wanted to, but I just have them draft it and then label their appeals and those things. So it's just another way to practice the application of the appeals in writing. So like I said, I'll link those things in the description if you're interested in some of those practices, but that's available if they need some more support in that. And it could be that if they're all struggling, because this is a really new concept to them, if they haven't got the appeals in previous English classes, then maybe you just commit to making this a 2-day review kind of thing before you move into the quiz. So I am not going to be showing you the quiz in the next video. I'm going to skip over that that one, because that's all I really do in that lesson is give the quiz, and it usually takes them a good amount of time, like 30 minutes or so, and then I just let them have that. So I'm going to skip that day's lesson. I don't show my quizzes in these videos for test security reasons, but it looks exactly like the one I showed in the stations. It's just with a different text and, of course, slightly different questions for that. So we'll be picking up the day after that, moving into the next topic. Hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions about teaching the appeals or teaching anything AP Lang, always feel free to leave me a comment or email me at heather@englishdepartmentresources.com. That's the best way to reach me. And good luck teaching the appeals, and I will see you on the other side of the quiz.